Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to take your seats, we will start this historic conference here in New Delhi. My name is Keshini Navaratnam, and it is my great pleasure to moderate the World Diamond Conference in New Delhi. And this has been organized by the Gem & Jewellery Export Promotion Council and the World Diamond Mark, with the clear support of the Indian government through the Ministry for Commerce and Industry, also the Ministry for Home Affairs. Now, the importance of these discussions are reflected by the presence of government ministers, not just from India, but from many other countries of the world. And of course, we have leaders from industry present in the room. This conference comes at a key time for the diamond industry, which is operating in an increasingly competitive global environment where luxury goods abound, where once the diamond industry could count on being synonymous with luxury. Now you've got a world where haute couture, handbags, shoes, luxury travel, technology, everything competes for the discretionary spend of the luxury consumer. But important factors happening on the world stage, like the global economic downturn, have had a considerable impact on the diamond industry. And the diamond industry has to look outside its own environment in order to understand fully the context in which it's operating. We're facing a reduced share of the luxury goods market, and these are issues which are affecting everybody in the diamond pipeline. There are also continued issues over reputation, transparency, financing. These are issues which come up in the press all the time, and the diamond industry has made great moves in tackling some of that negative publicity, but those continue to be issues which have to be faced, and progress has to be made on that. There are other industries which suffer from reputational issues. The banking industry has come under great fire in recent months and recent years, but they too are facing challenges. But essentially, the discussions today are about finding unity within the industry, finding common ground between suppliers of rough stones and the other end of the pipeline, the retail, the interface with consumers, the final product, if you like. Now, today we're going to have vibrant discussions, and those will continue tomorrow. There will be big challenges that come up, and I hope that everybody will enter into the spirit in which the conference has been organized. So polemic discussion is not a bad thing, and I expect to hear arguments, passionately argued views in the room. That's a sign of a successful conference. It's not a sign of a bad conference. I think we have some really extraordinary events happening today in New Delhi, and the diamond world is right at the heart of international developments. We have the leader of Russia, the president of Russia, who is coming to this conference to put the diamond industry at the heart of international affairs with the Prime Minister of India. And we will see a historic announcement being made today in this hall, in this building. And I think it's a sign of the diamond industry's maturity in the world economy that the leaders of two such important countries are marking their friendship, their cooperation, and the spirit of world trade by recognizing the importance of the diamond industry. And we're very fortunate that we're going to have a presentation from the acting president of Alrosa, Mr. Ilya Ryashin, who is, of course, part of President Putin's delegation. And I hope he might give us the first news of the historic agreement between India and Russia. We are looking to have, as I said before, very dynamic discussions. Please feel free to air your views, to ask the questions that you've always wanted to ask. Don't feel afraid that they might be provocative. I want to see provocative debate. I want to see passions rising in this room. We're going to have perspectives from outside the industry as well as inside, and that is a sign of great developments in the diamond world. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Chaim Even-Zohar, who needs no introduction to anybody in this room, for a perspective of where the industry stands at the moment. Chaim.
Thank you, Kishimi. She wants me to be provocative. That's the word. I'm the wrong guy for that. But thank you for the nice words, ladies and gentlemen, friends. Thank you that you have invited me again to a conference in India. Every time I come to a conference and if I moderate or speak, I always am afraid it's going to be my last and that they don't want me back. But you're great people, and I'm so glad to be back here. There seems to be a new tradition about diamond conferences in India in the last few years, because every time we have a conference, the industry is in a difficult situation. Can't you have an Indian conference when everything is happy, everything are good? We have major issues that we'll be discussing here, and I just want to point out that the liquidity, the inventory build-up, the price trends, they're all issues which are really worrying. But for the opening, just to set the tone for the conference, I want to say that I want to make 3 points. I think this is an historical conference, and not only because of the President of Putin being here, but because of the generic message. Can I stand a little bit more like this? I don't like to. I like to. I find more comfortable like this. Can you still hear me? Fine. At every conference we have, we always look at the producers and say, you know, you're great, but why don't you spend money on generic advertising? We want to see more money. Now, I'm telling you right now, to the producers, this conference is not going to be any different. We want your money. But what is different at this conference, and I think I've never seen that before, we now have industry initiative that says, no, we also want to contribute. I've never seen a conference in which I asked the organizers, what's the message here? And the message here is that the 3,000 or whatever, the 30,000, sorry, diamond traders, the World Diamond Mark, the World Diamond Federation, the bourses, they want to be part of creating generic messages. Has never happened before. You can say, 10 years ago we started with the Kimberley process. The Kimberley process was done because we wanted to make sure that we keep the consumer confident. I mean, we all sit scared, if I can use that term, what would happen. This time it's different. For the diamond mark, the generic message, we do for ourselves. We have matured in a way that we say now we want the transparency, we want the supply chain transparency. We want to guarantee ourselves that things are good in the trade, not just to the consumer. And I think that's a major difference between now and previous years. And I think it is a great tribute to the industry that we have reached this point. So yes, producers, we want your money, but the industry wants to take part of it as well. That is one thing. The other thing that is different this year is the Russian-Indian relationship. Russia is now the largest diamond producer. And I hope that my friends of the Beers will forgive me. Andy, Stephen, I don't see you. Stephen, you're getting whiter, Stephen. And we see two different business models. It's not just producers. De Beers has a distinct business model now. They want to supply rough, and they are minor. but they're also going downstream. They are down with the, we'll hear that later about the branding, the Forever Mark, the jewelry stores, the certification, even buying back recycled from the retailers. De Beers is the greatest producer that also competes with your clients, with the clients of their clients. On the other hand, we have Alrosa that says, no, we are miners. We have rough, we want to sell the rough, we don't get involved in downstream. Two different models. I'm not even saying what model is better or not. I say that for all of us that want the rough, of course, have a producer that is of course, all the rough goes to all the manufacturers, so that is not the issue. But a producer that is a true producer tuned to the needs of the business, I think that Alrosa has become, in my eyes, very much, I don't want to say the one of choice, because then we take away De Beers, and De Beers is, of course, remains the choice, but you're not the second choice, okay? you're not the second choice. So that is and of course for Russia to be here, and all Russia to be here, I'm an Israeli, and I've been around in conferences last month in Zimbabwe and other ways, but the diamond industry is India. Let's not kid ourselves, it's here. So when the Russians and the Indians are together, those are two giants together, and only good can come out of it, and I'm very, very, very glad about that, and we have high expectations. Then there is one third thing that I want to mention, and then I'll sit down, because my lovely friend has said to me, Chaim, don't talk too much, and I will not do that. I want to say something more seriously about this whole generic thing, and about if the industry now is taking initiative, and if the industry is putting its money where its mouth is and becoming more active, and we are successful in getting Polish demand up, and we are getting the price up, are we going to get the benefit? Are we going to work hard to get the Polish price up so that the producers can put up the price of rough, and we still remain with the little lousy margin that we are making? That is really the point I'd like to make to our producers. If we as industry become more active and are, in a sense, we self-determination more and less dependent on what you guys do, and we put our money where our mouth, will you allow us also to make some money? That is really the main message that I think that's the other part of the generic thing. Why should we work if we don't get the benefits? Why should we just work so the producers can... Of course, I know producers, and I'm looking at my friends at Alrosa. You have your trouble, you have your rubles, you have your loans in dollars, and we all have problems. But at the end of the day, it's the producers that make most of the money, and then there are the retailers. And the people in the room are basically, I don't know where the minister is sitting, I don't want him to hear that really, but we're the suckers. We're in between. We're in between. And I don't want you to go out of here, Mr. Minister, thinking those people are all rich people. We have the consumers there, the producers here. And the margins are, you'll see that during the conference, are shrinking. The part of the added value of the total product is all the time going down. And it's something that you worry about. You won't say about it now, because this is the opening, and I can't be too provocative, I was told. And it isn't, in a way, we talk about industry's maturity and self-determination. The industry in this conference is showing the producers and the governments we are going to do our part in growing this business, and growing it will. My friends, thank you.
Well, I called for passion, and I think there could be no greater exponent of that, but we would like the end of the conference to be even more passionate than that very powerful exposition. I'd now like to call on Vipul Shah, the chairman of the GJEPC. Thank you.
Can you bring it down? A hearty welcome to Shri Haribhai Chaudhary, Minister of State for Home, Government of India, Honorable Minister of Mineral Resources of the Republic of South Africa, Advocate Nagauka Ramatholdi, Mr. Ilya Ryashin, Acting President, Alrosa, Mr. Ernie Blom, President, World Federation Diamond Booths, Mr. Edward Asher, President, World Diamond Council, Mr. Anup Mehta, President, Bharat Diamond Booths, honored dignitaries, colleagues, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, to India and to our capital city, Delhi. It is indeed a red letter day for us today. I stand before you at the opening session of the first ever World Diamond Conference. And it is a matter of great honor and pride that this landmark event is being held in India. In many ways, it is only fitting that India should be the venue for this gathering of all these leading stakeholders from across the world of this great industry for such a significant conference. The World Diamond Conference has been organized by the Gems and Jewellery Export Promotion Council and the World Diamond Mark with the support of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. The World Diamond Mark global objective is to ensure the health and the future growth of the diamond and diamond jewelry industry in the luxury market sector through the creation of consumer demand. The GJEPC too has long felt the need for such an effort. It is with this vision that this two-day conference focuses on all important issues of growing consumer demand. Throughout these 2 days, we will be discussing various aspects of marketing from rough to the retail sales. I am happy that we have such a weighty gathering of the most eminent representatives of various parts of the diamond pipeline and other important stakeholders like the organizational bodies. I hope that we have equally weighty discussions over the next 2 days, and I hope that this platform can come up with concrete plans as to how we can proceed and pull in our efforts towards what is ultimately a singular goal, that of growth at the retail end, so that the entire pipeline remains healthy and invigorated. We, as India, are privileged as we get this opportunity to organize the first ever World Diamond Conference in India. After all, it was India which gave the world its first diamonds mined at the earliest diamond mines ever found at Golconda, near the city of Hyderabad. For many centuries, monarchs and nobles all over the world are adorned by diamonds from India, and some of the best known gems of the world have come from here. As a diamond industry, when you look at India, it has been growing its stature by being the largest in manufacturing cut and polished diamonds, as well as developing new talents for the industry. Since we are the largest manufacturing hub, it is obvious that India accounts for a sizable offtake of the rough production of the world. We purchase at an average annually approximately 70% by value and 80% by volume of the global rough diamond production, which according to DBS stood at 146 million carats in 2013. Backing these towering figures is a gigantic manufacturing industry primarily based in Surat and in other parts of Gujarat and in Mumbai. Indian factories are equipped with state-of-the-art technology and can accommodate hundreds and thousands of workers under one roof. It's a well-known fact that India is the home of the largest number of laser machines used in diamond manufacturing anywhere in the world. About 80% of Sarin's businesses come from India. Indian diamond companies are at the cutting edge of both technology and R&D. Several companies have significantly improved yield, developed cuts, new cuts, and are constantly upgrading the quality of their product, with a vigilant eye being kept on the manufacturing processes by well-trained quality control staff. Though India has a leading edge in technology, it also well understands the importance of the human element in the process. Not only does the country have the largest workforce involved in this industry compared to any other center, it is also a highly skilled workforce. Much emphasis has been given both at the individual company level as well as centrally by the GJEPC with the support of the Indian government to provide opportunities and infrastructure to skill and upskill the people employed by this industry. To this end, the GJEPC has been working through the Skill Development Council of India to ensure standardized training across the country and to upgrade the training imparted constantly. On the other hand, Indian companies are highly conscious on matters of worker welfare. Our factories are built to not only ensure that the employees work in healthy and conducive environments, they also offer special facilities for the workforce from meals and on-the-spot health facilities to creches. Many companies also offer subsidized housing and education of the children of the staff. India has achieved a balance between high-tech and high-skill to create a product that is of foremost quality, whether it is diamonds or jewelry. Of great importance is the fact that the Indian diamond industry has made this progress while keeping business ethics and practices at the forefront. This is not something new or introduced lately. Apart from these efforts of the industry front, the GJEPC has been working closely with the Government of India to create an enabling environment within which not will the industry of the country make rapid progress, but where we can increase our partnership with companies outside the country. The GJEPC wish list as submitted to the Government of India includes setting up of special notified zones so that India's trading activities get a boost, and the revitalization of the special economic zones for boosting manufacturing activity there, including a proposal for a single window clearance. We are deeply grateful to the Government of India and the Ministry of Commerce and Industries that special notified zone proposal has been accepted in principle. Companies from outside India, mining and other manufacturing companies can all take advantage of this development and set up offices and facilities here. In fact, I invite all of you to do so. I am particularly pleased that this conference is taking place against the background at the annual meeting between the President of Russia and the Prime Minister of India, which is this year taking place in Delhi. I look forward to welcome His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin later in the day to this conference, as I do to strengthening our ties with Alrosa. Equally, I hope that India can work together with all mining countries in a manner which is beneficial to both countries. Welcome once and once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Vipul, for that very important context setting for this conference and the underlining of what a powerhouse India has become in not only in the world of diamonds but in the world economy as a whole. So thank you very much indeed for that. So it's entirely appropriate with today's big event fast approaching that we should now go to Russia for the Russian perspective on a historic deal with India, which could have a transformatory impact on the world of diamonds, but also in the wider context, other industries, with a union between India and Russia in terms of the supply of rough stones. The acting president of Alrosa as I said earlier, is here with us today. He's part of President Putin's delegation to India and has been having very important discussions since he's come to New Delhi. He's going to be presenting to us, and I hope there will be an opportunity in the less formal sessions to talk to Mr. Ryashin and ask him a little bit more about the agreement that has been signed. Mr. Ryashin is going to speak in Russian. Translation headsets have been organized, and if those of you who need to have access to the translation could put your hands up so that the headsets can be distributed. Mr. Ryashin, I'd like to invite you to come up and make your presentation. Пожалуйста. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to select channel 1 in order to hear the English translation. Thank you.
Добрый день, уважаемые участники Всемирной алмазной конференции, дамы и господа. Прежде всего, позвольте поблагодарить Совет по содействию экспорту драгоценных камней и ювелирных изделий при правительстве Индии за организацию конференции и предоставленную возможность обсудить актуальные вопросы алмазного бизнеса с лидерами отрасли. Как руководитель ведущей алмазодобывающей компании, я бы хотел представить вашему вниманию свою оценку текущего состояния алмазного рынка и поделиться стратегическими планами нашей компании. Мировой алмазный рынок достаточно быстро восстановился после кризиса 2009 года и в последнее время уверенно растет. В прошлом году все сегменты алмазного бизнеса, от добычи алмазов и до реализации готовых ювелирных изделий демонстрировали устойчивый рост выручки. В 2013 году мировое потребление ювелирных изделий с бриллиантами и часов выросло до 5%. По итогам этого года мы также ожидаем роста продаж в этом сегменте. На фоне очевидного роста спроса на алмазы существующая минерально-сырьевая база ограничена. Большинство действующих в мире месторождений были открыты еще в прошлом веке. За последние 10 сопоставимых трубок по своим характеристикам, такие как «Удачный мир» в России, «Жванек», «Ботсване». При этом цикл от геологоразведочных работ до строительства предприятий и выхода первых алмазов составляет не менее 5 лет. Что касается тенденции потребления, то традиционный и самый большой рынок бриллиантов – это Соединенные Штаты Америки. В последние 3 года демонстрирует устойчивый рост спроса. При этом, несмотря на некоторое замедление темпов, основными драйверами рынка остаются, конечно, Китай и Индия, прежде всего за счет увеличения численности среднего класса, основного потребителя ювелирных изделий с бриллиантами. Если сегодня на Индию и Китай в совокупности приходится около четверти мирового потребления ювелирных изделий с бриллиантами, то в среднесрочной перспективе их доля возрастет порядка 40%. Мы считаем, что хороший потенциал роста в будущем могут обеспечить и другие участники БРИКС. Это Бразилия, Россия и Южная Африка. Таким образом, в среднесрочной перспективе определяющим фактором на рынке мы видим дисбаланс спроса и предложения алмазного сырья. По нашей оценке, мировая добыча алмазного сырья достигнет своего пика в 163 миллиона карат в 2019 году, и с этого момента по мере исчерпания действующих месторождений начнет неуклонно снижаться. Спрос же на алмазное сырье будет увеличиваться в среднем на 4-5% в год, и с 2019 года начнет существенно опережать предложение. Для всех алмазодобывающих компаний, в частности для «Алроса», это означает необходимость концентрировать свои усилия на геолого-разведочных работах, поиске новых технологий, рентабельности отработки бедно-товарных месторождений, а также существенных инвестиций в добычу подземным способом. Операционная деятельность нашей компании на сегодняшний день сосредоточена в 2 алмазных провинциях на территории Российской Федерации. Это в первую очередь и самый главный наш актив – это Республика Саха-Якутия и Архангельская область. Основные производственные мощности находятся у нас в Якутии. Там расположено 8 коренных и 13 рассыпных месторождений, которые в совокупности обеспечивают почти 98% добычи компании. Архангельская область является новым перспективным регионом добычи на территории России, где представлены 6 кимберлитовых трубок. Перспектива этого региона нами оценивается в 4-5 миллионов карат добычи в год. С 2009 года «Алроса» является мировым лидером по объемам производства алмазного сырья в каратах. На сегодняшний день мы добываем около 36 миллионов карат в год, занимая порядка четверти мирового рынка. Совокупный объем запасов и резервов, которыми обладает компания, в настоящее время оценивается более миллиарда карат алмазов. Эта ресурсная база достаточно для поддержания стабильных объемов добычи на срок более 25 лет. При этом компания продолжает инвестировать существенные средства в геологоразведку с тем, чтобы восполнить в ближайшие годы выбывающие ресурсы. Стратегия «Алроса» – это концентрация на профильном виде бизнеса алмазодобычи в целях обеспечения лидирующих позиций по объемам добываемого нами сырья. Для выполнения этих стратегических задач компания за последние 5 лет реализовала масштабную программу строительства подземных рудников в Якутии. Решение о переходе на подземную добычу на кимберлитовых трубках было принято по мере отработки запасов открытым способом. Подземная добыча потребовала от нас очень существенных инвестиций, более миллиарда долларов на строительство одного подземного комплекса. Тем не менее, богатые запасы месторождений, высокое содержание алмазов и эффективные технологии отработки обеспечивают большую рентабельность подземной добычи и возврат инвестиций. К 2014 году завершено строительство и введены в эксплуатацию 3 новых подземных рудника на наших богатейших месторождениях. Это трубки «Мир», «Айхал» и «Удачная». Рудник «Удачный», начавший работу летом этого года, после выхода на проектную мощность, станет одним из крупнейших подземных рудников в мире. Сегодня подземным способом компания добывает порядка 25%, в ближайшей перспективе эта доля достигнет 35%. В Архангельской области «Алроса» построила добывающие обогатительные мощности, позволяющие извлекать на месторождении имени Ломоносова более 4 миллионов тонн руды в год. По сути, мы можем говорить о появлении в России новой алмазной провинции. В то же время мы понимаем, что для любой добывающей компании имеет важность не только объем производства, но и обеспеченность ресурсной базы. Несмотря на то, что «Алроса» сейчас является лидером по объему запасов и ресурсов, компания ежегодно вкладывает существенные средства в геологоразведочные работы и производит полное техническое перегружение своего геологоразведочного комплекса. Перед нами стоят 2 задачи: обеспечение восполнения по мере выбывания добычи запасов, а также открытие новых месторождений. Конечно, для «Алроса» приоритетом является геологоразведка в регионах присутствия компании, это Якутия и Архангельская область, но мы также видим существенный нереализованный потенциал в странах Африки. Эксперты «Алроса» полагают, что велика вероятность обнаружения новых крупных кимберлитовых трубок в Анголе. Для проведения поисковых работ компания создала совместное предприятие с национальной компанией Анголы «Диама», которая уже приступила к работе на выделенных лицензионных участках. Мы считаем, что добиться успеха нам помогут наши технологии поиска перекрытых месторождений, которые давно зарекомендовали себя в Якутии, однако в Африке ранее не использовались. Сегодня «Алроса» сосредоточит в своем распоряжении внушительную минеральную сырьевую базу и, осуществив масштабные инвестиции в их добычу, ставит перед собой следующую стратегическую цель. Мы планируем выйти на уровень ежегодной добычи более 41 миллиона карат к 2019 году. Благодаря реализованной программе развития основного производства нам удастся обеспечить стабильные объемы добычи в Якутии на уровне 36 миллионов карат. Основным же драйвером роста компании станет, безусловно, Архангельская область в России. После выхода нашего дочернего предприятия «Североалмаз» на проектную мощность, данное предприятие будет обеспечивать порядка 13% добычи «Алросы», это около 5 миллионов карат в год. Всего же новые месторождения, которые компания планирует в среднесрочной перспективе, дадут нам порядка 30% от общего объема добычи. Уважаемые коллеги, будучи крупной горной компанией, представляя вам нашу стратегию как горная компания, мы, безусловно, понимаем всю особенность производимого нашего продукта. С одной стороны, алмазодобывающая отрасль несет затраты, сопоставимые с любым другим крупным горным производством. С другой стороны, алмаз не является биржевым товаром или объектом массового инвестирования, как, например, золото. Основная сфера потребления алмазов – это, конечно, производство бриллиантов, которые для человека являются прежде всего символической эмоциональной ценностью. Камни ювелирного качества сегодня приносят компании порядка 95% выручки. Следовательно, особое значение для нас имеет эффективная клиентская политика и маркетинг. В настоящий момент, на наш взгляд, стало очевидным, что за последние 10 лет рынок перетерпел фундаментальные изменения, и алмазный бизнес приобрел следующие новые особенности. Первое. В сфере огранки алмазов и реализации ювелирных изделий налицо тенденция концентрации бизнеса. Сегодня более 70% всего мирового объема алмазов гранится здесь, в Индии. Новейшая история на рынке слияния и поглощения ювелирной отрасли США также является подтверждением данного тезиса. Второе. Алмазный рынок перестал быть закрытым. Производители сырья, крупные горные компании стремятся к обеспечению максимальной прозрачности своей деятельности. Сегодня основные алмазодобывающие компании – это публичные организации с биржевым листингом. В свою очередь, потребители во всем мире все более интересуются происхождением бриллиантов, которые они покупают. Третье. Технологические разработки в сфере производства синтетических алмазов наравне с вопросом их происхождения заставляют производителей ювелирных изделий искать прямой доступ к алмазному сырью. В то же время мы считаем, что традиционные алмазные центры сохраняют свои функции, так как добывающим компаниям необходимо в полном объеме реализовывать извлеченные алмазы, сосредоточившись на стоящих перед нами финансовых и технологических вызовах в сфере алмазодобычи, о которых я говорил чуть ранее. Основываясь на вышеперечисленном, Алроса стремится выстроить сбалансированную систему продаж сырья крупнейшим участникам мирового алмазного бизнеса, производителям бриллиантов и ювелирным домам из разных регионов. С 2009 года основной системой сбыта Алроса являются долгосрочные контракты с лидерами отрасли, крупнейшими производителями бриллиантов и ювелирными домами. На сегодняшний день компания продает по таким контрактам более 70% сырья. Нашими партнерами являются более 40 компаний из разных стран мира. Данная система известна как Алроса Альянс. Оставшиеся объемы Алроса реализует на спотовом рынке и на основе конкурсных продаж. На наш взгляд, такая структура сбыта является сбалансированной и позволяет, с одной стороны, удовлетворять потребности клиентов в сырье, с другой стороны, гибко управлять ассортиментом в соответствии с рыночной конъюнктурой. Помимо финансово-экономических показателей, одним из важнейших критериев для заключения контракта на покупку алмазов является, конечно, социальная ответственность бизнеса. Заключая договор, наш долгосрочный партнер берет на себя обязательство соблюдению принципов ответственного ведения бизнеса Алроса Альянс, которые соответствуют лучшим мировым практикам. В частности, это соблюдение норм кимберлийского процесса, ведение честной конкуренции, противодействие коррупции, обеспечение прозрачного бизнеса, соблюдение прав человека и экологического законодательства. Мы считаем, что все участники алмазного рынка несут общую ответственность за репутацию нашего бизнеса в глазах конечных потребителей. Уважаемые участники конференции, мы, как компания Алроса, считаем, что перед алмазным бизнесом открываются большие возможности, и прежде всего это рост потребления на новых рынках, о которых мы скоро уже будем называть традиционными, это, конечно, Китай и Индия. Спящие рынки, такие как Латинская Америка и другие страны БРИКС, среди них Россия и Южная Африка. Высокий интерес к нашей отрасли крупнейших мировых инвесторов, чему доказательством является успешное проведение IPO Алросы в 2013 году. Но в то же время новые возможности всегда идут рука об руку с новыми вызовами. И ключевым вызовом, на наш взгляд, является вопрос доверия потребителей бриллианту как к эмоциональному символу. Изменились системы коммуникации, появились новые конкуренты нашему продукту. Что предпочтет покупатель через 3-5 лет? Какие традиционные алмазные центры смогут адаптироваться к требованиям существенно повысить транспарентность нашего бизнеса, который предъявляют международные институты и банковское сообщество? Сможем ли мы, как отрасль, создать миллионы рабочих мест по всему миру, эволюционировать без потрясений, сохранив бриллиант как выразитель самых высоких человеческих чувств, символ любви и красоты? Эти вопросы, я надеюсь, мы сможем обсудить здесь, на этом форуме. Спасибо вам большое за внимание.
Thank you so much for that. I don't think anybody can doubt the importance of Alrosa and of Russia in general to the world diamond market. And I think with that in mind, I'd like to ask Mr. Rajiv Mehta to come up and present from the Indian and diamond trade perspective. He is, of course, the chairman of Dimexon, who all of you know in the diamond world. Rajiv.
Good morning, Honourable Minister of State for Home, Shri Haribhai Chaudhary, Minister of Mineral Resources for South Africa, Advocate Honourable Gauko Ramat Lodi, leading dignitaries, presidents of bourses, delegates, members of the press, dear friends. Firstly, a warm welcome to New Delhi. It is a pleasure for me to see that the room is significantly full, with some members even standing at the back. Before we start today proceedings, I'd like to take you through the topics that we will discuss today. We'll look at the macro landscape of India. We'll discuss about the economy, a little bit about where we're headed. We'll then have a look at the 360 degree of the Indian diamond trade. And here it'll be interesting because we'll dive deep into the essence of the diamond trade within India. And finally, where do we go from here? Looking at the progressive future that not only the Indian government is building upon with the new mandate, but also the industry per se with Gem and Jewellery Council is working hard to put in place for the future. Let's have a look at the short and long-term growth. India got its new government in May of this year. And due to the majority win in the elections, the capital markets have performed extremely short-term indicators, and really we take the capital markets as a short-term indicator, are really performing well. The longer-term optimism is also there. The longer-term indicators, primarily shown by the GDP forecast, indicates that India is well on its path to achieving a growth factor of greater than 6%. A number that not many countries of this size, not many economies of this size can boast. And all it needs is a government that is fully focused, which, as you all know by reading the press, our Prime Minister works harder than any of us probably present here in the room today. I hear stories of 14 and 15-hour days. And so I think that's really going to be what it takes to achieving that 6% plus growth. So let's understand what the world is saying about India today. Okay, we've heard stories about India is well on its path, but, and the biggest word that comes in all sentences is the but. But in fact, many of those buts are now getting by the wayside. While the data clearly shows that there is reason for optimism, a similar vibe echoes on India from its external peers and friends. Friends ranging from the west to the east, north to the south. Not only is India on everyone's list of things, but within the BRIC countries, it has emerged as one of the most promising members as of now. Coming closer to home, so while we see the external factors are looking good, what are Indians thinking of India? And we all know we are a group that can be highly optimistic but highly pessimistic at the same time. We can't find the balance, much like the Diamontes in the room. But let us see what India thinks of itself. And yet again, there is a sense of confidence and belief for a better future. This has led to the corporate sector in increasing investments and taking a longer view of the country and its ability to offer sustainable growth and opportunities. So moving on from the macro landscape, let's come closer to home. to the Indian diamond trade and to diamonds, where we will take a 360-degree view of the Indian industry and its place within the context of the global industry. To start with, India is the only country in the world that can boast of having significant opportunities and activities in all four aspects of our industry pipeline. First, mine. We have a rich heritage, but even a richer future. Second, make. We are one of the largest producers of diamonds. Let me correct that. We are the largest. Third, trade. We have the largest bourse in the world, one that can boast world-class infrastructure and a promising future. Fourth, consumer. A large consuming base with demographics that can show us that the future is even brighter. And all of this in diamonds. This is a unique opportunity, and that too at a scale that is increasingly mind-boggling. Let's start with the first of the four aspects of the pipeline, mining. India has always had a rich heritage. Golconda, as you see over there, was the first major diamond discovery made in the 16th century. It operated until the 19th century, and many of those diamonds that came out of the Golconda mine today are world famous, namely the Kohinoor, to name one. However, recently, with the discovery of the Banda mine in Madhya Pradesh by Rio Tinto, it is increasingly evident that India has a richer present. The Banda mine is awaiting for environmental clearances, but once cleared, it has the potential to rank amongst the top 10 largest diamond mines of the world. So if there's one appeal that we can make as an industry on behalf of our friends at Rio Tinto to the government, let's get this going. Moving to the second aspect of the pipeline, make. India leads this activity globally, with 14 out of 15 diamonds manufactured from here and more than 70% of value coming out from India. Indian companies have not only invested heavily in technology, as our chairman put it, but also through early acquisition and research and development, they have brought in tremendous efficiencies in the art of manufacturing, which has almost become a science today. The Council, in addition, has created the right environment and infrastructure to provide skill-based improvement, create new workforce. The government, as part of the Sector Skill Council, has also helped tremendously in growing the new workforce that is so very important for India to sustain its leadership in the field of manufacturing. In terms of sheer numbers, the gem and jewelry trade in India provides employment to 2.5 million people, and that was in 2012-13. And since then, it has only grown. Out of this, it is estimated 50% are engaged in the cutting and polishing of diamonds, while the rest operate in other activities within the sector. The gem and jewelry industry within India ranks fourth among a list of other industries in providing value addition of $18 billion through domestic and export channels, with the maximum of that generated from jewelry. And for any economy, value addition is key. Turnover is froth, as we know, but value addition is key. Moving on to the third aspect of the pipeline, which is trade. Opened in 2010, the Bharat Diamond Bourse in Mumbai is the world's largest diamond bourse, a secure and productive working environment for diamond manufacturers, traders, jewelers, banks, labs, and more. It hosts more than 2,500 diamond offices, and probably that number is not even relevant today. It's probably crossed 3,000, among 2 million square feet of constructed area. The Council and BDB are working together on creation of a special notified zone that will enable mining companies to ship their rough diamonds for viewing by customers in this special notified zone, something that is not possible today. And this will bring mining companies closer to the largest consuming market for their rough diamonds. While India's exports of polished diamonds in 2013 and 14 were $19 billion, it contributes 14% of the country's exports, becoming one of the largest foreign exchange earners for the country. Moving on to consumption, the last of the pillars, the most important one. India has a large consumer base with diverse taste for different qualities of diamonds. And thank God, we're present throughout the spectrum. And that is because a mine produces all kinds of qualities. Perhaps we're the larger consumer base that can really say that we consume from mines such as the Argyle, going up to the best of the Russian and the De Beers outputs. But India's large consumer base and its local consumption in 2013 meant that $8 billion of diamond jewelry retail sales were conducted, forming 11% of the consumption of the global economy. Moreover, the future looks extremely bright in this arena due to the middle income class that is likely to multiply to 200 million consumers by 2020 and 400 million by 2030. So while the Indian global consumption looks fairly buoyant, how does the world look in terms of global consumption? And we've heard Mr. Ryashin tell us that demand is growing at a pace of around 5% globally, and that's great. But I really have three questions at this stage. And those are, will growth in retail, in diamond jewelry, be sustainable? We're all happy with the 3, 4, 5%, but let's look on the side. Are other industries growing faster? So that's the first question. Second, do lab-grown diamonds pose a threat to natural diamonds? And if so, what do we do? Third, can marketing of diamonds continue being single channel or single message driven, i.e. emotions? Or does it have to be omni-channel or omni-emotional, using different perspectives? And I thought at this stage, we've seen numbers, we've seen messages, let's kind of have a little fun. Okay. And so I thought, let me put these two logos up on the screen. Right? I'm sure all of you, most of you, hopefully, and I'm a real, Ferrari enthusiast, can relate to the one on the left. Yeah? And that is a Ferrari logo. But what's the one on the right? How many can actually relate to the one on the right? Well, that's the new age consumer. The hands that went up are part of the new age consumer. And my friend here, Eric, is an early adopter, may I say, among others. Well, the reason I show you this is because the car on the left is a Ferrari and the car on the right is a Tesla. What does this mean? This means that there's a new kid on the block, or shall I say a new man in the room. And the question here is going to be, how do these two very different machines appeal to the consumer base of fast cars? I know my preference. I've kind of adopted the left. Eric has adopted for the right. We're both in the same room and we enjoy our fast cars. But the important thing here is that this is the power of marketing. And this is the power of bringing a novel idea to the floor. Two things that get us from A to B in very different emotional and practical methods. And here I mention this because this is a great example of a category in which marketing has really generated incremental demand in automobiles, a sector that is highly mature, perhaps one that we can relate to in our industry. And so therefore, while all the forecasts that we've seen, we've heard till now, and we'll hear from all the speakers today, does show growth, there are products that are being rolled out for consumers every year, and these are sometimes based on very different disruptive business models. And we've seen Uber, well, from disruptive to getting disrupted is a different thing, but we've seen Uber do that. And therefore the point I'm making is that it would be wrong for us to rely on the laurels of the past where the emotional connect to our product through the marketing of diamonds as a product of nature will remain forever was the prime driver. And so while A Diamond is Forever is a great campaign, it has worked for the last 4 decades, 5 decades, perhaps for the future we need something else. We need a more cohesive, coordinated global marketing strategy for natural diamonds that will appeal to an entirely new consumer base, just as Tesla did to my friend Eric. In essence, what are we talking about standing here today? We've achieved a lot. We've achieved a lot together, but there's more to achieve in the future. The German Jewelry Council and the Indian diamond industry have been working closely together and over the past years that have put in place a strong foundation that will provide confidence to stakeholders for the future. Firstly, I'm pleased to say that the Council took its leadership in establishing the NDMC, a committee focused purely on understanding what is happening with synthetics, the evolution of synthetics, and how do we protect natural diamonds. And we are here as a community, as an industry, happy for the synthetics to be present. It's a different category, there's going to be a different consumer that will buy it. But the last thing we want are messages to be mixed. And here the NDMC has really done that by not only commissioning a report, but also taking leadership in terms of practical steps on how do we protect it going into the future. Second, there's been an important introduction of Know Your Customer. It's an important initiative that was provided feedback from the banking community. Do we really know the consumers that we're selling to? And that has been implemented by the MyKYC bank that we'll hear more of today. And again, the Council took its initiative on that. Third, and most importantly, Alrosa mentioned it, corporate social responsibility. I think we can all extract diamonds and convert them and sell them to consumer, but if we don't have the social connect, we're missing an important part of the pie. And here is again where the Council has made efforts in providing the opportunities and providing leadership to not only new jobs, but also the communities that we work in. And last but not least, training initiatives. So very important in ensuring that we create the new entrepreneurs, workers of tomorrow. And we all know that today's world has many choices. A lot of our own workforce have adopted different industries, and we're happy for that. They're progressing in life. We need the new workers to come in and give them an opportunity. But is that it? No. This is the strong foundation. So there is more to come. And the more is really in reference to plans that are here for the future. Firstly, we're the largest consuming market for rough diamonds, so it's only natural that we should establish direct relationships for sourcing of rough diamonds. Second, implementation of the special notified zone for conducting viewing and trade within the BDP. And again, that will help us in abolishing the barriers that have stood for time and long times for doing business together. Third, the Council is working hard with the government to introduce a simplified tax structure, one that will not only be beneficial to the industry, but also will invite our friends that are here from overseas today to establish and bring more investments to the country. And last but not least, for the banking community as well as for the most important stakeholder in the room, the capital providers. Because we all know without capital our business cannot sustain itself. The industry, and driven by RBI, has also provided a mandate for convergence of the Indian accounting standards with the international financial reporting standards, one that is becoming increasingly commonly adopted globally by all stakeholders. And friends, here with this introduction to India, I hope to have given you a glimpse of what India has to offer, had to offer, and will continue to offer for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajiv, for that very eloquent exposition of India's value as a global hub. I think all the observers I've talked to on the world stage agree that India really has this tremendous potential from all the BRIC countries to to present as the most promising and presenting opportunities for the future. I think the issues that Rajiv raised were diverse and will occupy us for much of this conference. But two key issues to emerge from what he said that I'd like you to give further thought to. Will growth be sustainable for the diamond world, given the onslaught of other luxury brands, things like Ferrari? Do you spend your money on a Ferrari or on a beautiful, fancy diamond? That's the million-dollar question today. Can marketing be emotionally driven? Is that what the world wants in today's context, when you have a variety of social media that is going off in a totally different direction? Those issues, I hope, will emerge from the following discussions. Before we move on to the next stages of addresses from our dignitaries, I'd like to ask some of them to come up onto the stage. And Mr. Ilya Ryashin, if you'd like to join us up here. Ernest Bloom, if you'd like to come up. The Minister for Mining Mineral Resources from South Africa, Mr. Ramatodi, if you'd like to join us. The Minister for Home Affairs of India, if you'd like to come up onto the stage. And Mr. Edward Asher, the President of WDC. And Vipul, if you take your seat. And Anup as well. Thank you. And I'd like to move on now to Mr. Asher for your presentation to the conference. I think the assembled members on the stage of this conference, I think, reflects the true diversity of discussion and the global nature of these discussions. And I know the ripple effects of what is going to be signed in this building later today are going to be felt in Antwerp and in Dubai and many other countries in the world. So it is absolutely fitting that we have global discussions on the subject. But Mr. Asher, please come up and present to the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a pleasure to address this World Diamond Conference, and I thank our hosts, the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, for their initiative and their efforts together with the World Diamond Mark. Let me tell you about the Kimberley process, which today consists out of 81 nations and two more pillars: the World Diamond Council, representing all sectors of the diamond industry, and civil society, representing the non-governmental organizations. The responsibility of the Kimberley process, following the decisions of the Security Council of the United Nations, is, in normal words, the fight against conflict diamonds. Conflict diamonds being held by rebel movements which try to sell those to finance the purchase of weapons to fight legitimate governments. The World Diamond Council consists out of all sectors: mining, polishing, wholesaling, retailing and independents, and the World Federation of Diamond Bourses and the CIPTO are permanent members, as well as the ITMA. The mandate of the World Diamond Council is to do everything to promote, support and defend the Kimberley process and to represent the industry in negotiations with the governments. Today, the World Diamond Council is also looking at all the challenges surrounding the Kimberley process and to assess the risks around it. The Kimberley process has been extremely effective and saved many lives in African countries, and we owe gratitude to the founders and my predecessors. Conflict diamonds went from 4% of the world production of rough diamonds in the 90s to less than 0.4% today. Governments issue Kimberley certificates which are necessary to export and then later import rough diamonds in the trading and polishing centers. The World Diamond Council is helping countries and KP organizations to get more knowledge and coordinate the working methods and procedures so that all exporting and importing countries use the same methods. The industry today has changed and is taking a very active role in implementing the standards. Leadership to the industry is something that we promote together with our sister organizations. Transparency, compliance and cooperation are the keys to success. What can I say in this country, where the leadership in the diamond industry has grown from strength to strength? Not anymore based on low labor costs, but today based on high technology and brilliant management. Flexibility and dynamism have been the cornerstones of the Indian diamond industry, which I have seen growing from strength to strength during my many years in the diamond industry. So, I mentioned that together we are leading the industry into a new area. In the diamond family, as in any other families, there are sometimes differences of opinion. And it is with great pleasure that I can confirm that the World Diamond Council and my colleagues of the World Federation of Diamond Bourses in the SIPJO and all our board members represent the complete industry. It is the integrity of the diamond pipeline and the confidence of the consumer that we have to protect and defend. But the World Diamond Council is also a unique organization, as the most important leaders of the diamond industry work closely together. And after some public discussions, it is my pleasure to confirm to you today that all organizations are now aligned in the interest of the total diamond industry. The sum of our united organizations is in this way much greater than the sum of its parts. And that is for the good of our industry. And when you get to my age, one does not think of today or tomorrow, or the next quarter, nor the next year. Then one thinks of the interests of the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that. And swiftly on to another member of the Diamond family, Mr. Ernest Bloom, President of the World Federation of Diamond Bourses. Ernest.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, it is indeed an honor for me to address this conference in New Delhi. But I'd like to extend a word of thanks to our hosts, the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, Alrosa and the World Diamond Mark for organizing and hosting a conference of this nature, as well as the Department of Commerce. A conference like this, of this nature, is so critical to the development of the diamond trade and its standing in the world of luxury goods, that we at the World Federation of Diamond Bourses congratulate you on your efforts in planning and developing diamond jewelry by means of events like this. This conference will serve to elevate the standing of diamond jewelry in the eyes of consumers by the nature of such prominent world leaders attending and speaking at this conference, such as the Russian President, Mr. Putin, and the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, and many other key speakers who will without doubt raise the status of these meetings and ensure key media coverage, which all adds up to the awareness of our product, diamond jewelry. It is very fitting that this kind of conference is hosted in India, as this country has become, and we've heard it earlier, the hub of diamond polishing and cutting, and represents more than, I say, 90% of the world's cutting and polishing in volume terms. Diamonds are thought to have been first recognized and mined in India, where significant alluvial deposits of the stone could be found many centuries ago along the rivers of Pennar, Krishna and Godavari. Diamonds have certainly been part of the Indian culture for at least 3,000 years, but more likely 6,000. Diamonds have been treasured as gemstones since their use as religious icons in ancient India, and in today's terms they continue to shine as symbols of love. Besides the importance of this country to the diamond industry, it has also developed a huge home market for jewelry, and this covers both traditional jewelry and high-end branded jewelry from the West. India has over the past 5 or 6 years also become a major exporter of quality jewelry across the globe. I'm reminded of what Coco Chanel once said. Some people think that luxury is the opposite of poverty. It is not. It is the opposite of vulgarity. The World Federation of Diamond Bourses was born 67 years ago in 1947, and this organization has strived to assist with the development of the industry on a global basis. As times have changed, we have seen many facets of advertising and marketing being applied to diamonds. And who can ever forget the famous De Beers campaign of "A diamond is forever." Today we find ourselves in a world that is confronted by numerous luxury items vying for the luxury dollar spend, and this environment has become incredibly competitive. As markets have changed, so the media changed dramatically over the past 20 years, and social media has become the creator or destroyer of trends. Diamonds are indeed very different from all other products it competes with in the luxury market. We as Diamantes cannot instruct a factory to create more natural diamonds, such as the car manufacturers, telephone manufacturers, or clothing manufacturers can. We rely on Mother Earth to give us diamonds that have been created over millions of years. We often forget to tell our customers the story of diamonds and how special and rare they are, as opposed to many other luxury goods. Diamonds are certainly very durable, and the life cycle of a diamond could be measured in thousands of years, rather than possibly a few years for a mobile phone or some other luxury item. Let's face it, we are not going to get a good return on your investment if you want to sell an old iPad or mobile phone. And Doug Larson, the American editor, once said, "Utility is when you have one telephone. Luxury is when you have two. Opulence is when you have three. And paradise is when you have none." I must add to this that I've never heard of any woman say, "I have enough diamonds." Have you? We are in India today to plan strategy to ensure that our product and our futures are secure, and that we take responsibility for the growth of the diamond industry worldwide. The WFDB has 30 member bourses across 28 countries, and through these channels I hazard to say that more than 90% of the world's rough and polished diamonds are sold. It is part of the mandate of the WFDB to ensure that we protect and build a sustainable market, and this must be done with integrity, or else we will lose consumer confidence. We are faced with challenges on a regular basis, whether this is about diamond grading, conflict diamonds, etc. Yet we as a WFDB have not shunned away from our responsibilities to the industry, and we have faced these challenges head-on. The grading of diamonds, or more specific, the correct grading of diamonds, has become an issue of late, as you will have read in the trade journals from across the world. To this extent, the WFDB has come forward to facilitate meetings early in 2015 with the broader diamond industry, including a representation of recognized laboratories from across the world. Correct grading and certification based on an internationally accepted standard is pivotal to our reputation in the consumer market. Not many other luxury goods get scrutinized and assessed like diamonds when certificates are issued, and this in itself should create comfort levels in the minds of consumers about purchases of diamond jewelry. The diamond industry realized, ladies and gentlemen, that we as a grouping, we had to step up and plan marketing strategy to protect and develop our share of the luxury market. In the past, this was to a great extent taken care of by groups like De Beers, but that no longer is the case. The WFDB rose to the challenge and found the World Diamond Mark. The World Diamond Mark Foundation is a not-for-profit organization incorporated in Hong Kong by the World Federation of Diamond Bourses to promote consumer desirability and confidence in diamonds. The World Diamond Mark is a global objective to ensure the health and future growth of the diamond industry and diamond jewelry industry in the luxury market sector through the creation of consumer demand, and is based on 4 core activities. 1, the generic marketing programs to increase sales of diamonds and diamond jewelry. 2, consumer information to increase consumer desirability and trust in natural diamonds. 3, education and training to increase knowledge and retailer performance. And 4, the authorized diamond dealer accreditation program to increase the reputation, brand value, and revenue of diamond jewelry sales. The expression, when it rains, everyone gets wet, will only ring true if we know where to position yourself. The World Diamond Mark has the lofty task to become the rainmaker for the industry at large. At this conference, we need not so much speak about how much rain we need or when. We need to talk about preparing the soil and assure it is prepared to soak up the maximum rain it can absorb. I'm therefore very pleased to have amongst us representatives of the luxury industry as well as the retail jewelry business. We have already weathered many storms in our industry, and I believe they will continue our efforts to understand better how to grow and nurture our markets. As the writer Louis Vuitton once said, diamonds has always been seen as the rarest stone and the most precious of all. Among the ancients, it was called the stone of reconciliation. Let us stand together at this conference and reconcile our strategies and our futures for generations to come. I wish you a fruitful gathering, and I thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that. And the idea of the World Diamond Mark as the rainmaker for the industry, I think, is very memorable and very appealing. But perhaps showcasing the world's most appealing natural resource, the diamond industry has a natural advantage, shall we say. But it also means that its relationships with governments around the world are terribly important, and governments can help the industry weather storms. I'm delighted that we have 2 very important government ministers from different countries. The Minister for Mining from South Africa and, of course, the Minister of State for Home Affairs from India. But first of all, I'd like to go to Mr. Ramatodi, the Minister for Mining from South Africa, for his perspective and address to this World Diamond Conference.
Minister of State for Home Affairs, Minister Chaudhry, President of the World Diamond Council, distinguished guests, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, allow me at the outset to express my deepest sense of honor and appreciation for your kind invitation to this conference. When I got the invite in Guangzhou, it was about 3 weeks ago, I think, at the Kimberley process, and I was wondering, we are in the afternoon of 2014, and I had prepared to take some rest, having started on a rough note in South Africa as a new minister in May, having gone through elections to become this minister. So one was feeling the pains of their exhaustion. However, I took deep reflection and asked myself, there must be something very serious that we are being convened at this stage, and perhaps I should consider the invitation. Secondly, remembering the role that India has played in the struggle for the liberation of South Africa, I had no choice but to come. Now, I come as a representative of producers. Africa today, apparently, Zimbabwe was built to be here, so I'm the lone voice around here. Nevertheless, let me just focus quickly on South Africa and then come to the region and then to the continent and international. Then I'll finish. I won't be long. I'm told I've got limited time. In South Africa, we continue to consolidate the environment, enabling for production of diamonds in our country. Secondly, we are exploring means and ways of beneficiating diamonds in the Republic. To do all this, we need political stability. And since 1994, we have enjoyed a very good political stability. It's not enough to have political stability in South Africa. We must have it also in the region. So South Africa is playing a role to stabilize Lesotho currently, which is an emerging producer of diamonds, suppliers. We are engaged with our colleagues in Zimbabwe to consolidate the peace that is there. I've been twice there already this year. We are in the DRC as part of the United Nations force. We have deployed our forces there to make sure that there is political stability on the continent as a whole and in SADC region in particular. Now, going to the world, I want to welcome the announcement that was made early this morning here about the unity of the diamond, both World Council, traders and producers, because I think it's important that we strengthen the institutions if we are to survive this that we have created. So, as a family, producers, traders, and the industry as a whole, we have to work laboriously to ensure that our differences do not make us so weak that we become replaced by the other emerging industries that have been referred to here earlier on, in the forms of the Ferraris and others. We hosted the baby meeting of the Kimberley process in South Africa, And we want to make sure that that process is defended, is promoted, is strengthened, because it is our safeguard against the ills that in the first instance we sought to prevent. In this regard, South Africa is standing firm on the observance of the protocols that we have established over a period of time. And we want to appeal to member states to observe those protocols as we go into the next phase of the Kimberley process. We were a bit unhappy in Guangzhou because we felt protocols were not being properly observed. The result is we have got just one chairperson, there's no deputy there. Going into Angola next year, we don't have a deputy. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to take politics out of the diamonds and make sure that the industry is protected and insulated from the politics of power and weaknesses. That's the message I want to give today, and I thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Minister, for that perspective from South Africa and the importance of the diamond industry worldwide, understanding those insights. Now on to the Minister of State for Home Affairs for India, Haribhai Chaudhary, who has a very important perspective. I think often with industries like the diamond industry, there can be a predominance of interest in the mining ministers. But let's not forget that India has 2.5 million people involved in the gem and jewellery industry here, and that makes it a very important issue for Home Affairs. So it is of incredible value that we have the Minister of State for Home Affairs to address the World Diamond Conference. Thank you.
Today, World Diamond Conference, I welcome all dignitaries on dais, all delegates, press, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here before you, firstly as a representative of Government of India, which has extended its full support to the industry in our effort to boost the economy of our great country. We have greatly admired the diamond industry, which is today acknowledged as a global leader in manufacturing, and we will back every initiative that you take to help you scale new heights in years ahead. At the same time, I also stand before you as one who has been closely associated with your industry for the last many decades. Today I represent Banaskantha district in the Lok Sabha, which is home to so many entrepreneurs who have taken this industry to enormous heights, who called Palampuris. Before I became a full-time political and social worker, I was also a part of this industry, so I understand its strengths, the challenges it faces, and its many achievements. I would like to acknowledge today the stellar role that the industry has played in the development of Gujarat. We all know the huge strides that the city of Surat has taken in the last few decades. I would also like to share with you that this development has not been restricted to one city. It is all over India. In fact, there are numerous smaller towns and even villages across the state which host fairly well-developed diamond manufacturing units. The advantage working with an industry that offers the best facility to its workers have benefited thousands of people in different parts of the states and nation. Areas that were once considered backward are now making a rapid stride towards modernity, as our PM said, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, collective efforts, inclusive growth. May diamond industry serve the interest of the whole world. I would like to acknowledge the deep social commitment of this industry. Palanpur in Banaskantha district is a shining example of how the diamond trades have plowed back the profits they have earned into development work. There are hundreds of villages across the district which have benefited from the diamond industry and today have access to modern educational and medical facilities. I am really thankful to them. The industry has now been working closely with the government to ensure that benefit of its progress is spread more widely across the state of Gujarat and the entire country. They have drawn up plans to make technology accessible to the small entrepreneurs and skilled artisans in remote locations. I would like to express my appreciation and support to these efforts. We will continue to dialogue with the industry to ensure continued all-round progress for the people in different parts of the country. The conference today is a very important event for the global diamond industry, and I would like to extend my best wishes that the government of all you. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to our country. We look forward to playing host to all of you many more times in the year ahead. Before I conclude, I would like to mention that the government is making every effort to create an environment where business can flourish and grow. We have been interacting with the representatives of the industry and hope to create a policy framework that will make it possible for you from various parts of the world to set up business here and work with our extremely talented artisans and designers. As our visionary Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi has stated that there will be a red carpet for industry and no more red tape. After 30 years, first time the full majority government has formed in the visionary leadership of Sri Narendra Modi ji. He has forged the name and fame of the nation by visiting world over, and world has accepted his visionary leadership in such a beautiful atmosphere for the nation. This conference is held. I am confident this conference will bring good success. My well wishes to the organizer of this conference and my best wish is that the discussion over the next 2 days will help you chart out a new course, one that will take your business to new levels, benefit the thousands of people who work with you in India and other parts of the world. I take opportunity to serve diamond industries by my good office for you people to coordinate Government of India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister, for that resounding support from the Government of India. I know all of us here today are extremely grateful to the Government for such a warm welcome and such a splendid reception for all our delegates from around the world. Now over to Mr. Anup Mehta for a brief word from the Bharat Diamond Bourse, which is playing a very important role in the diamond industry, and especially so today.
Honorable Minister of Mineral Resources, Honorable Minister of State of Home Affairs, Chairmen, Presidents, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Indian diamond industry, I wish to extend a very special thanks to all of you for joining us in Delhi for the World Diamond Conference. It is only fitting that this first ever global event of its kind is taking place in the capital city of India, the country which has emerged in the last few decades as the capital of the global diamond industry. Certainly, this conference is going to be a truly memorable event with implications for our industry and the way we go about doing our business in the future. We have already heard some insightful speeches from the guests at the welcome session, and we are sure to have much more discussions going over the next 2 days. A special thanks to all the eminent personalities on the dais for sharing your views and setting a tone for the next 2 days. Every session of this conference will have presentations by very senior representatives of some of the world's most important companies and organizations in each sphere of the diamond industry and the whole chain. Each segment of this industry has its own importance, but when we all come together on a single platform to discuss and try and evolve common perspectives on key issues, then significance of the event gets multiplied many times over. All of you are familiar with the Indian diamond industry, and most of you have visited the ultra-modern facilities at Bharat Diamond Bourse in Bombay, as well as seen the high-tech factories in Surat. BDB, which was inaugurated in 2010, is now the epicenter of the industry in Bombay. It is the financial and training hub of our industry through which polished diamonds are exported to destinations all over the world. In the days to come, we now hope to make it a hub for trading in rough diamonds as well. With the Indian government giving its nod of approval to this suggestion from the industry, we will soon have a special notified zone where such trading can take place. It will provide an enormous boost to the industry across Bombay and Surat. On behalf of the Indian diamond industry, I would also like to express my thanks to all those who have made this event possible. Particularly, I would like to mention the support and encouragement we received from the Honorable Minister of State of Commerce and Industry, Shri Nirmala Sitharaman, the Commerce Minister, Commerce Secretary Mr. Rajiv Kher, and Mr. P.S. Raghavan, the Indian Ambassador to Moscow, and many other concerned officials from other departments. A special thanks also to Alrosa for its contribution to this event, and to all the speaker members of the press, my colleagues from different parts of the global industry who have gathered in Delhi for this event. Welcome once again to India and to an event that I believe will be an important landmark in the growth of this industry globally. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that, Anup. We now have some presentations to make to our dignitaries on the stage, and I believe that they're coming through now. We are going to have individual members being presented. The Minister for Mining from South Africa, Vipul Shah, is going to present now with an appreciation of his presence here today at the World Diamond Conference. And to the Minister, we say a very big thank you for travelling from South Africa. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. And if I could ask Pankaj Parekh to present to the Minister of State for Home Affairs of India our token of appreciation. And Sanjay Kotari is presenting to Ernest Bloom. Thank you very much indeed. And Anup, you're presenting to Ilya Rashin. And Alex Popov, I was going to say the rainmaker extraordinaire. Please come up to present to Mr. Edward Asher. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention. That concludes the formalities for this first very important opening session of the World Diamond Conference here in New Delhi. We will be taking a short tea break, so back in 10 minutes in the room. I know my colleague Yakov will take the opportunity to grab many of you for an opportunity